like he wants to add, but he really wants to do some other business, which is cool. And we talked, and I learned about the healthcare business, but what was more interesting to me was his family and the lineage that came with it, that he was like second and third generation. And then he was telling me that he wanted to make a movie about his family and a TV show. He had a script. I was like, show it to me. I was like, of course I can make this. You know, I could do it at a price point. And it became a business clinic for him and a different business. And it became very therapeutic to him because he enjoyed it so much. And I'm like, look how much you enjoy making this creative piece about your life. What if that could be your business? You know, doing something that you just love. You just gotta get good at it. So, you know, I learned how to make a film. I made this film. But some people don't look at filmmaking as an art. You know, some people don't even look at acting as an art. So a lot of people be like, yo, put me in a movie, I want to be in films. And I say, well, you love acting? You look at movies? Is it an art? Or is it that you just want the benefits of it? So you just want the benefits of it and you don't love it. Once you get it, you'll hate it and you won't be good at it. So for me as a director and as a producer, I try to get with people that have a real passion for it, that respect the art of movie making. It's not just about showing up or else anybody can do it. And you have to prepare really hard for it. The more you prepare, the more you care. That's what I tell everyone. But the more you prepare, the least it costs. There's less anxiety. So when it comes to making a movie, you have to understand the actual movie that you're making. It was a Detroit movie, and I was making it in LA. I hadn't been in Detroit in a while, but I had time to study. And, you know, I wasn't prepared to go to Detroit because it was COVID, and I'm diabetic. So I was like, you know, we'll deal with this here. And at a certain price point, if I can't control the environment, then again, it can become costly. And what I'm not gonna do is take you through the whole process of the movie. What I'm gonna say is this. I made the movie independently. And after I made the movie independently about someone, because, you know, his family's in healthcare, and his mother and his stepfather bought a hospital in distress in Detroit. They owned a hospital. And I thought it was important to make a movie about something with us with wealth other than doing entertainment or doing, you know, sports, something that even white people don't do, you know. And I thought it was important to showcase a visual of that, because what I noticed is the things we see are the things we think we can be. And the only thing that they show with us is us hurting each other, or selling drugs, or getting hurt by them, but never us winning doing anything else. They never show that visual so that we could see it and know that it could happen. So it became important for me to showcase a visual that people could aspire to be and also learn from. And the one thing I don't want to do is, you know, when I'm in the music business, there are people that come to me that are in the music business and say, we gotta go to the schools, we gotta talk positive and listen to the records. They're talking about this thing that's hurting us. You know, and I don't judge the rappers or any of that. You know, they're young and they're just talking about what they see. But it's a contradiction if you're saying, you know, let's not divide the culture, but you're making money off of entertainment that divides the culture. So I've been talking about us empowering each other. So I can't always make movies with us shooting each other just because that's what I saw. I've seen new things and I know new ways of doing things, so I'm going to showcase that. But they would never let us do that. But I always, like my rule of thumb is never put myself in a position where the term let is in the vernacular of the person I'm talking to. You don't let me do anything. I'm a grown-ass man. You know? And if I'm good at it, I can do it myself. So I got with an entrepreneur, and I'm an entrepreneur, both from the same culture, and we could actually make a visual of something that can help the culture. It's a win-win. It's called good money. So we made the movie about entrepreneurship. We did it independent. But the thing about making a movie, if nobody sees it, you know, you don't get your money back. So sometimes you have to compromise just to get distributed. And you know, Tubi popped up, and I distribute movies as well. I distribute 50 movies, not of my own, but others on Tubi. It's a good way to make bread. But there's like a narrative and a perception. You know, I want people to understand when I make movies, they could go theatrically. And when I took the movie to agents, they were like, I don't know what pocket to put this in because we've never seen it before. There's no guns in here. There's no slavery in here. There's no white people beating black people or black people beating each other. Like, what are we supposed to do with this? Don't do nothing with it. Just watch it. I had to do it myself. And it was only right because, again, it was about independence. So why ever give up your independence on any vertical? You start independent, end independent on everything you do. You know, and that was a dream of mine, to be a full-service movie studio, just like Disney or Lionsgate. And my dream came true. I went and got to deal myself with AMC, but what comes with your dreams and when they come true is hard work. It's not like when you have a dream and it comes true, it means, you know, okay, now you sit on the beach. It means the responsibilities that come with being that boss that you dream to be, now it's harder. And the dream is not only to get it, but it's to keep it. That's right. And to have it long enough to pass it. Pause. So it's almost a situation where, and I've been trying to explain this to people, if you're like a talented rapper, basketball player, or model, or whatever, you can't pass that off to your child, your talent, you know, or the passion that you have for it. You can't pass that off. But what you could pass off is a company, you know? So that's why it's also important to have independence, because if it's yours, you can give it to who you want. But working for somebody sometimes, to me, is problematic because it's just nothing that you could reap a benefit from in the future. It's a temporary existence. And there's 24 hours in the day, so if you have an 8-hour day to do your job, you have 16 hours to work on your dreams. You have 8 more to work on your dreams and another 8 to sleep. But you gotta identify what your dreams are. So now I'm gonna tell you my process. My process is, first, I visualize the perfect reality of what I want the dream to be. And because it's a dream that doesn't cost $1, there's no reason to dream cheap. It's just not. You have to visualize the perfect dream. You don't think about a Rolls Royce and worry about the gas or where you're gonna park. In your dream, everything's perfect. It's never a concern. And it's important that your last visual is the best visual. So sometimes I'll be dreaming of some negative people around me and they'll be like, oh, this could happen, that could happen, and it really bothers me because if I see that and that's the last thing I see, it may stop me from moving forward, or that just may, because my mind is strong, what I visualize might actually happen. So I have boundaries about being negative around me. So when you're dreaming, keep all negative people the fuck from away from you. And usually the reason why they're so negative is they're scared. They don't have the courage to go and fight for what they believe in, so they want to make sure you don't. Because you might take their girl, you know, or whoever else. I promise you that fear is always there. So that's one dimension. The second dimension is you put it on paper. You have to be able to sum it up quick and put that on paper so that other people can read it. So you can give an order, or, you know, they have to have an understanding, because if they have the same dream now, y'all fight together. But it's got to go on paper. And then the next thing you do is to put all the things you want to buy when your dream come true on a vision board. The house should be a big one, the jet, the yacht, the island, dream big. And then all the ways that you got to get there. So if it's a movie, it's whatever amount of movies, or Oscar, or music, you know, whatever it is. If it's, you know, bobby pins, you know. The thing about the way they teach us, and I'm going to get to that in a second, is, again, they make us focus on just entertainment. But whoever owns the straw, whoever makes this is a millionaire, I guarantee you. Whoever makes that light bulb, oh damn, that's my straw. Whoever makes that light bulb, the wire, the little things. You know, but they make us focus on the same thing. So you have to pay attention to that. The next level is to make it happen in reality. It's another dimension. And if you can start with that dream and put it to paper, and you fight hard, and it doesn't happen when you want it to happen, it happens when it's supposed to happen. It's not anything given, it's a fight after that. It just means you just plan for the war. But it's the purpose, it's a reason to fight. And life without purpose is not a life. I talk to people and I ask people, like if I ask anyone in here, a lot of times I'll be like, you know, what's your dream? And I'm not talking about that it's world peace and kids and other. You have to be able to help yourself before you can help anybody else. What's that selfish dream where you're strong enough to help somebody pay a bill without not having to pay your own? Or somebody says, oh, my light bill's off, or here's a house, and it doesn't hurt. What's that dream? And most people don't know. So I'm like, what are you living for? That would be a depressing life if I have no purpose. So I keep a purpose in the war to fight for. And I guess that's what makes me a general and general-minded. A boss mentality, I can't think any other way. I can't see any other approach for boss. You know, today they tried to put me in a funny hotel, and then I went hotel shopping at that point. That hotel room looking like, okay, I gotta get a hotel out here so I can control the environment the way I want when I'm out here. You know, and again, it doesn't happen overnight. It's just the way you have to have things visualized in your brain. So the strategy for the movie is, because of course I know it won't get distributed by those that hate us to learn and evolve and not be dependent on them, is it, again, after I put it in theaters and let everyone know I can do everything they can do, you can get it from me direct to consumer on my network, which will be American News Network. It was Dame Dash Studios before, but that model didn't work. The paid subscription I find doesn't work. It has to be free. So when Netflix makes no money, they're 40% down, Tubi 40% up. Disney took over Netflix's spot with the streaming, but they still lose $1 billion a year, even though they have ancillary things to sell, like the toys and the things that come with the movies, the Marvel, and all that. So you gotta be able to give it away, but you also have to make sure the payout is good. So I've been trying to get and identify the right sales so that, you know, when it's playing, it doesn't have to be like 1 million times to make $5. And also when I work with other people, they should get paid as well. But at the end of the day, I look at this, the theatrical as more marketing so that you can get it directly from me in 30 days, 35 days, 45 days. And then it will become a franchise, and you know, after that, you know, I made the clothing line that came with it, I made a curriculum that came with it. So after you have that dream, I do what's called an octopus. And I wish I had something to write on, but just imagine. So there's a circle, and in that circle is your brand, or whatever it is you decide that your dream is. And I put at least 8 legs on there, so an octopus. All the legs can work, and if one gets hurt, you can chop it off, it doesn't affect the head, and another one will go back. So that's the way I approach it. So one leg will move, one leg will be the doc, one leg will be Joe, one leg will be the clothing, one leg will be the curriculum, one leg will be the touring. I said touring player? Okay. We're in San Francisco, and of course he took me to Cookie before I came. I'm in class, and the best drugs in the city. Huh? Thank you. So, that's all good. And then there's the philanthropy, the art component. So, you know, you have all these different legs. Put that on one piece of paper. And I don't like the typing thing. You have to write it. And I usually use markers and a colorful piece of paper because I'm still a child. And I like things that inspire me. I don't like to look at a lot of words because it intimidates me. You know, it triggers me. So I like it simple like sign language, and when I look at it, it makes me feel good. I'm very conscious of vibe and, you know, the things that trigger me. So after we have the octopus, then I make a table of content. And every layer on the octopus, you know, I write it down. 1, 2, 3, 3, at least 8. And then the next page is a page about each thing on the octopus. So if it's the movie, then this is what I need to do the movie, this is what the movie's about, blah, blah, blah. And then fashion and all those things. And then you put everything on the timeline. And the thing about an octopus that I didn't know, but I recently found out, is that every leg actually has its own brain. But sometimes you can't afford a brain for every leg until it's making money. So until that time, you have to be the brain for all the legs. And that's how I approach things. I make everything a franchise. So one thought and one idea could keep me busy for a lifetime, but I keep dreaming. And when I dream, they come true rather fast, so I know it works. I'm not telling you from a place of it not working. So I dreamed about Rockefeller. I dreamed about Rachel Ward. You know, every single thing that I've done, what I did today, what I'm doing right now, we dreamed about it before. We had to plan. You have to visualize things to make it happen. If you don't write the script for your life, then somebody else will. And it might not be a movie you want to see. You should direct your own life, but you gotta write the script. And being dependent on somebody to write the script for you, you know, that's what it's hard to do. You know, lately I've been going to the kids' jails in Chicago. I've been trying to understand, is like, the way we're so programmed to hurt each other and not help those that oppress us, it's just like a very mental thing. And, you know, I have to applaud the enemy or whoever it is that's trying to oppress me for doing that, because the strategy has worked. So then I just start to observe strategy, whatever it is. Where does it start? Because I know the problems, I just have to come with the solutions. So again, I'm part of something called the OSG, and that's like hundreds of principals from all around the world, but predominantly in economically challenged places, which means black. But you don't want to keep saying the same stuff, because they already know what punch we're going to throw, so they already know what punch to throw back or how to block it. So we have to change our verbiage. And what I notice is the division thing, putting us in boxes, is the exact reason and the way to divide us. And another thing, right? You know, if you make a product and it's only for black people, that's alienating the rest of the world. It just gives you a very small market. And if there's a bunch of black people only going for the same black dollar as a small market, that makes, you know, it goes from 20s to 2 for 5 very fast to $2 bombs. So you can't limit yourself to be put in this box. This shit can't just be good for you. It gotta be better than everybody else. But that box thing, that's exactly the program. So back to the jail. So I go to the kids' jail, because I went through OSG. The OSG is the principals. They get together, they do a meetup on Thursday. They talk about the things they can do off school grounds. But the things are really hammered down as it relates to education. And on Tuesdays, I teach them a class on entrepreneurship, because I want them to teach the kids how to be entrepreneurs, but they can't teach it if they're not it. You know? It's crazy, people teaching business classes that never did no business. Like, why would I listen to a professor about business that's not a man? I'm not listening to you unless you have done something that I want to be, or you're something I want to be. So, you know, that's the whole kind of thing that never really added up to me. You know, I stopped listening to my teachers when I had better cars than them at 16. But with these principles, you know, what you have to understand is they're on the street every day. They're very important. And they're like CEOs. They just have to delegate budgets and, you know, this, that, and the third. And they have to be afraid of the Board of Education. So it's like, you know, let me teach you how to be an entrepreneur, how to dream. So you can teach the teachers how to do the same thing, and so you can teach the kids. But if y'all scared, y'all only going to teach fear. And for some reason, it feels like that's what they want you to teach. You know, the curriculum that is applied to us right now is the same curriculum that was implemented by Thomas Jefferson. And this isn't a conspiracy, this is real. And that curriculum was for a white man to know how to tell a black man what to do, and for a black man to learn how to listen to a white man. And we still abide by that curriculum to this day. I learned that in Columbia at the principals conference at OSG. So that's a fact. You know, like any law that was made by someone that had a slave, that should not be a law anymore.
Oh.
Same with education and anything else. So what I know is that anything that's been presented to us has only been presented to us to control us. And if you're trying to tell me you help me, you're trying to help me, you're just trying to tell me I need you to help me. I don't need you to help me, you need me to help me. And that's how we have to re-engineer this thing. You have to change the whole way and the whole perspective, the way anything has been presented to you, you gotta look at it different on GP. Just on GP. I never trust my precedent to give me education, religion, and especially not food. So I go to the jail, and what happened was in Columbia, I met up with a principal that ran a prison, a kid's prison, or he's a principal in the school in the prison in Chicago. So I go over there. What I see is a warehouse with no windows, no outdoor space, so the kids are breathing recycled air. No outdoor space. I know I just said that, but think about that. You cannot go outside. There's no outdoor space and no windows. When I go in there, I notice the kids are really cool. I'm like, these kids are super cool. Why are they so, this is like a dope fiend. They're all on dope. It was all slowed down. The therapy, by choice, that's an option for them is only for white women. So these are black kids with bodies talking to white women that would be scared to death of them, that would need therapy just talking to them, that would do anything they can to keep them there. It was like crazy. I went to 4 by 4. And when I asked what's the average reading score, it was 4th grade. And they build the jails based on those that don't graduate. So basically what they're doing is they're drugging the kids up, not giving them an education, they're isolating them, not giving them good food or therapy, and putting them right back on the street so that they come right back. It's preparing them to come right back, and the most disgusting thing about it is for every bed, every kid, they get $1 million a year. You enter that jail, you're a millionaire. But where's the money go? It was like training the kid to come back as an adult and go to adult prison. And to terrorize, it was like an insane asylum, was training them to be soldiers. But what does that look like, to drug a kid up, traumatize him, not prepare him to survive in the current real world, and then put him back on the street in the same environment that distressed him, where he has enemies and ops. It's a program to get that $1 million a bed. And it's happening in front of us, but we don't see it, so we don't feel it. So I was with Nicolette and El Boogie. She takes pictures with, she was with me, and they cried the whole time. To see these kids in their eyes, like a 17-year-old with 40 years. So I know the problem. I saw it. So all right, I'm stepping it up. I called the senator. It happened to be, whatever. I'm dealing with that. But I know the problem. We just have to fix it and bring the answer. So that's why it's important to always bring curriculum and a different way to teach, because I know they're trying to slow down everything that we do so that they can control us, so that we continue to fight each other. You know what gentrification is? is white people not scared to move in around black people. Because there's certain places that when I hear that it was a neighborhood that's turning, I'm like, I'm not going there, I don't care if it turns or not. I'm more scared of my own people than I am of them. They're not scared of us. Because they know we're programmed to look at them like wardens, police, slave masters. They know we'll fight each other before we'll fight them. I'm not saying fight anybody, but I'm saying this is how well the program works. So being aware of it means now that you're aware of it, I don't care how long and how much has been put in your face, you have to stop. Look at the food they get. When you go to the jails, there's no opportunity for anything but terrible food. There's no therapy. People come out strong and your organs are weak. So I know dudes that survive the street and all the hardcore stuff that you could do and die by a cheeseburger. The number one cause of diabetes, heart disease, and cancer is meat, pork, chicken. It's the number one cause of us. You want to trust your oppressor to feed you? It's just not logical. You know, things are just in hidden sight, or hidden in plain sight, right? So as it relates to like music, it'd be like, okay, what is it that you give away when you sign? Your master. It says master. So you start off with it, and you give it to someone, and then they become your master, and you celebrate. I'm signed. I just gave this dude my master, and I gotta work for him for something I created. And I'm gonna celebrate it because they'll pat me on the back. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, it's obvious, but just because we all celebrate dumb shit don't make it right. You just have to deal with the logic, not what everybody else is doing because they've been programmed, because they've been putting certain things and visuals in our face over and over and over again, but it just don't feel right because it doesn't move us. We keep in the same cycle. The same problems over and over again is insanity. If you know the problems, then they gotta get fixed. It means approach it different. And don't depend on anybody. Freedom and independence, that's wealth. And you know, being put in a position where you always have to be in survival mode and you compromise your integrity, like, yo, I gotta eat. I wouldn't do this, but I gotta eat. That's the test. Money is the devil because it's man-made. Love is God-made, and that's the currency you gotta fight for. You know? So, for me, if I don't know exactly what language you speak, because it would entail me knowing everyone's dreams, I just generally like to say, find your dream. And then organize it the way I just said. And because of ChatGPT, which everyone should install in their phone right now, because that's what's happening, that's what people are using. There's no more excuses. You can get or ask any question and it'll answer you right then and there. It'll write a script for you, it'll write a deck for you, a business plan, all those things. So there's no excuses. Become for consciousness is karma. You know, once you know there's no excuses, and that's when God smacks you in the back of your head way hard. You know, knowledge is a dangerous thing if you don't pay attention to it, because then you get what you deserve. And then you have no one to blame but yourself. And if you're depressed about your existence, it's because you're doing things the same way. You're not dreaming, or you have nothing to fight for, so you gotta figure that out. And you're not fighting for it every day, like this thing about weekends. And this thing about them telling me when to have a holiday. You gonna like tell me when I'm gonna sit with my family? On Thanksgiving? Nah, I sit with my family every day. You gonna tell me when to relax? I'm gonna work 5 days a week and relax too. Nah, 2 days a week and I relax 5. Just because y'all say I'm always gonna do it opposite and it works out better for me. You know, you gonna tell me I can only go on vacation and we all go on vacation at the same time? That's hell. 4 times a year? Now I'm gonna work 4 times a year. I'll be on vacation to rest. And you have to architect your life to facilitate what you love. So at 50, I finally got to have a child with a woman that I could stay with and raise the child together. I hadn't experienced that yet. And I'm like, I'm not leaving this.
That's right.
So the business she created was a book about her child, and we go to the schools, we go together, even my child, me, her, and the baby. And while she does her thing in the school, he goes to the classroom. I'm right there taking pictures with the teachers. We sell books. But we made money talking about just how we educate our own child. And that was her dream, and I'm in it. To be able to go to work without leaving my family. Because to me, if a boss puts this before his family, it's not a boss. Family always comes first. And to think that the time that you spend with your child is not priceless because you can't get that back. And to justify it with what, I gotta go get money, nah. Because I can't buy that time back. I just gotta work it out. So it takes architecting and visualizing and dreaming and preparing. You have to be able to be reactive, but you should be able to be strategic. You have to be able to play chess and checkers at the same time. And when you hustle, you don't hustle for you because it's easy to survive. It's easy to get a two-seater. It's easy to get a one-bedroom apartment or a studio. But when I buy a house, I'm like, I only go in the kitchen and the bedroom, and that's really it. It's always so the rest of my family can live comfortably. It's never for me. So when you fight for something you love, you're protected and you have a purpose. And it's always for the people that you love don't have to go through the same pain as you. Because if they do, you fail. And that's why it was so important for me to break that cycle of like having a home broken. Because I know how it felt for me. The thing I hated the most was just seeing my parents fight. Having to go to one's house but not see the other. Not being able, like when my son goes to sleep, he goes to sleep like this, with me on one end, on the other. I look how happy that makes him, and that's all that counts. I'm not beefing with my son's mother. You're not going to beef with your best friend's mother, your homeboy's mother. So why would you beef with your son? But that's the hardest beef not to have. Word. How long have we been talking? Just want to get a time limit. Anybody? No?
40 minutes.
Well, I know on the time, so I wanted to be talked about. So for me, I'm gonna tell you what my octopus looks like right now. So there's the Dash, my family's company. I don't own that company. It's for my family. I work for that company for free. And one of the verticals, American New Studios, that's the network, and that'll be launching in about 30 days. That's where all the movies go. Then there's Dash Films, and that's the film you're gonna see. So that makes the films, and that's the content that goes on the platform. And then there's the CEO brand, which is the sneakers. And the only reason why I got Nikes on right now, because the sneakers keep selling out. And I generally prefer my sneakers new. Excuse me, sneakers, I got some new ones in the car. I didn't get a chance to take them off. It was a hotel thing, but and we stopped the cookies. I was like, I tied my gas. I'm just have to be dirty sneakers. But yeah, and then we have the clothing, the CEO clothing. And then there's Applefish. Applefish is the children's division where we have the books, Dusko Goes to Space, and Applefish Kids. You go to it, it's curriculum and content. So for me, if I don't like the way my kids are getting taught, I'm gonna make my own curriculum for them. If I don't like what they're watching, I'm gonna make my own content. And I want to focus my children, not distract them. So you can check that out. And then there's Blue Rock Music, and that's my music vertical. I distribute labels, and then I put out the records that I make personally. I'm also in a rock band called the Black Guns, and I'm the lead singer. And the music that's in the movie is scored by my band. So we made the movie, made the music with the movie. I think there's a Q&A after, so I don't want to like give too much up about the movie. So yeah, that's the music division. And one of my dreams came true, and I was able to make my son Boogie the president of Blue Rock Music. So, and that's his dream. He loves music. Then there's Dash X, it's the vertical I haven't launched yet, but that's the hair care division. And that's because my daughter, I paid for college, didn't do shit. And so I had to give her, I mean, it's ridiculous. So now I'm going to have to give her a company to work. It's a waste of time. And I got another one in college. What are you here for? For me to just pay for it? It's like man camp? Like, what are you doing? It's funny that you pay the teachers and they listen to the teachers. But I pay the teachers. How you listen to the teacher over me? This program for this shit. It's ridiculous. So yeah, you'll see what he does with it. But again, we distribute other artists as well as myself. Dash X. What else we got? There's a couple. But right now, that's what's really happening. So there's the music, there's the fashion, there's the movies, there's the streaming service. There's also real estate, but I don't need to tell you all about that. There's a lot of verticals happening there. But I don't suggest anybody hold money. If you want to look at some real estate, because you can live in it, flip it, sell it, you know, you can enjoy it. But looking at money, it just becomes a target, and everybody wants it. So, you know, I'd be like, I ain't got no money. It's all on the street. I always make sure to update my worth would be like negative 2 million. They try to put 500,000 up there. I was like, make it negative 2 million. You know, sometimes you have to Machiavelli your wealth to keep everybody off it. People that care about their money tend to say they have more than they do. You know, I was talking about my verticals. So yeah, so again, with each one of those verticals, to me, I have at least 10. And, you know, I went from hair care to books, to television networks, to the movie making themselves, to the clothing line. These are all, I got 5 kids, I got at least 5 companies to pass them. I don't want to pass them like super successful companies because I find that if you don't fight to get something, you won't fight to keep it. So like giving a child that becomes an adult something that they didn't earn, they're not going to keep it. So I give you a company and the wherewithal to take it to another level. And I had to fight hard for that because I was known for making other people's point of views profitable, not my own. Every product that I sold came with like a Jay-Z or a Kanye or anybody, but it was never really about me. So I had to take about 10 years for people to appreciate my point of view so I could put it in a product so people could buy it. So now people will pay $170 for a sneaker that just says CEO on it, or for a hoodie, you know, or, you know, I'm able to be that artist that I want to be. So I know I'm like a superhero because I feel like one. I'm be dependent on anybody, especially corporate, because then I'm not independent, which is priceless. I'm the kind of entrepreneur that lives off the land, which means that I have to make a product and the people have to like it and they have to buy it. Almost like drug dealing. You know, if you're working bad, nobody buys you. You can't flip. You know, you have to get right with the people. You gotta test it out with them. They're not high. Don't even bring this up. Same thing. You know, and that's the greatest freedom. That's the thing that's priceless, is being able to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, and whoever you want to do it with. That's real wealth. Without having to be worried about being economically challenged. But that's not an entitlement, it's something that you have to fight for. So the type of entrepreneur that I am is the kind that lives off the land. and this is what I'm going to show you as it relates to this vertical. First, you have to start with a dream. The dream should be not survival mode. To be able to pay your bills is not the dream. That's what they want your dream to be. But that's not the dream. The dream is to be able to do whatever you want and get paid for it. To be able to get paid to do something that you would do for free. To get paid to do what you enjoy doing the most. So that's what you have to visualize. You have to know exactly what that dream is. And usually when you can identify your dream, then you know what language you want to be spoken to in. You know when someone else is speaking that same dream language, and you can click up and then you make a dream team and then you get where you gotta go quicker. So for me, my dream was making movies. At first, I thought my dream was having somebody else pay for them and be able to do a bigger budgeted movie. But what comes with somebody else paying for your dreams, it's not a dream anymore. And they start telling you what to do, and then that turns into a nightmare. So the thing that you have to really realize and embrace and look forward to is that if it's your dream, you gotta pay for it. And you can do whatever you want. Sometimes you have to burn while you learn. That's what I do. That's why I can't hold a dollar. Because whenever I'm inspired, I don't want anyone to tell me how to do it or when to do it. I just do it. I don't wait. And I don't think I could be advised, but the way I do things is so creative for me to learn is to just get in the game and do it. So one of my dreams was to make movies. I got a deal with Harvey Weinstein and it was a nightmare. I had to fight. I had to deal with the street. I didn't own it. It was terrible, but it became paid in full. But what I vowed to do at that point was to, if I ever did pay in full again, which I am, I have to do it on my own terms. I'm not asking them how to make anything about my culture if it's for my culture, and especially if it's about a personal experience of mine. So instead of complaining about them, I just learned how to, first I was producing movies, but it was more about learning how to direct them, and then learning how to fund them, and then learning how to get them distributed so that I can make the money back so I can make more movies. And I'm still in the process of doing that, but at the end of the day, I've become a filmmaker, a real artist. So, in this movie, I had a television network and I had one. And Tommy Duncan, who had just sold his company for $120 million. And again, he's an entrepreneur that just made 120, but because he's an entrepreneur, he started another one. Once you make 120, it's not enough for an entrepreneur. It's never enough for an entrepreneur because you just want to make money off what inspires you. And because of his family being in the healthcare business, he's very aware of how to maneuver in the healthcare business and how you make money. It's a government contract. But at the end of the day, he was advertising on my network, and he never gave me an ad. So I already knew the play. I was like,